I've worked in emergency rooms for over 30 years, and I need you to understand something that could save your life. Most heart attacks are completely preventable. Let me say that again. The heart attack that could kill you next month, next year, or 10 years from now doesn't have to happen. I've watched thousands of seniors roll through those doors, clutching their chests, gasping for air, faces gray with terror. And here's what haunts me. At least 80% of them could have avoided that moment entirely if they had just known what I'm about to share with you today. The science is clear. The American Heart Association confirms that up to 80% of cardiac events can be prevented through lifestyle changes and early intervention. But most people over 60 are walking around with ticking time bombs in their chests, completely unaware that simple, proven strategies could stop disaster before it strikes. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 science-backed prevention strategies that cardiologists use themselves to keep their own hearts healthy well into their 80s and 90s. These aren't complicated medical procedures or expensive treatments. These are practical, powerful actions you can start today that research shows can cut your heart attack risk by more than half. Before we dive in, I want to know, are you over 60? If so, drop your age in the comments below. I read every single one and reply personally, just like we're having a conversation in my clinic. Your engagement helps this life-saving information reach more people who need it. Now, let's start with number 7. And trust me, this one surprises almost everyone. Number 7, know your numbers and actually act on them. I can't tell you how many patients I've seen who had no idea their blood pressure was dangerously high until they were on my table fighting for their lives. Knowing your numbers, your blood pressure, cholesterol levels, blood sugar, and body mass index isn't just good information to have, it's your early warning system. And ignoring these numbers is like ignoring smoke detectors going off in your house. Let's talk blood pressure first. The American College of Cardiology defines hypertension as readings consistently at or above 130/80. But here's what most seniors don't realize. High blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. You feel fine, you go about your day, and meanwhile, your arteries are being damaged with every heartbeat. Over time, this damage creates the perfect conditions for plaque buildup, narrowed arteries, and eventually a catastrophic blockage. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association followed over 60,000 adults and found that people who maintained blood pressure below 120/80 had a 25% lower risk of heart attack compared to those with readings in the 130s and 140s. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between living independently at 75 and being buried at 68. I remember a patient, a 64-year-old retired accountant who came in complaining of occasional dizziness. Nothing dramatic, just a little lightheaded now and then. We checked his pressure, 168/96, dangerously high. When I asked when he last had it checked, he said, "Oh, maybe 5 years ago at a health fair. It was a little high, but I felt fine, so I didn't worry about it." 5 years of uncontrolled hypertension had already started damaging his heart. We caught it before a heart attack, but barely. Then there's cholesterol. Your total cholesterol should ideally be below 200 milligrams per deciliter, with LDL, the bad cholesterol, under 100 milligrams per deciliter, and HDL, the good cholesterol, above 60 milligrams per deciliter. High LDL cholesterol is like sludge building up in your pipes. It sticks to artery walls, hardens into plaque, and eventually blocks blood flow completely. The Framingham Heart Study, one of the longest-running cardiovascular research projects in history, showed that elevated LDL cholesterol was directly linked to a 50% higher risk of heart disease. Blood pressure matters too. Even if you're not diabetic, elevated fasting glucose levels above 100 milligrams per deciliter signal insulin resistance, which damages blood vessels and accelerates plaque formation. According to the American Diabetes Association, people with pre-diabetes have a 15% higher risk of heart disease than those with normal blood sugar. Here's my challenge to you. If you haven't had these numbers checked in the last 6 months, schedule an appointment this week, not next month, this week. And when you get those results, don't just file them away. Sit down with your doctor and create an actual action plan, because knowing your numbers means nothing if you don't act on them.
Once you know where you stand, the next step is addressing one of the biggest silent threats to your heart. And that's number 6. Stop ignoring chronic inflammation. It's destroying your arteries. Most people think heart attacks are caused by cholesterol alone, but that's only half the story. The real villain is chronic inflammation. Think of inflammation as a fire burning inside your arteries, and cholesterol is the fuel. Without inflammation, cholesterol can't stick to artery walls. But when inflammation is present, your body's immune system goes haywire, treating cholesterol deposits as foreign invaders and forming dangerous plaques that eventually rupture and cause heart attacks. A landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine tracked over 17,000 people and found that individuals with high levels of C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, had double the risk of heart attack, even when their cholesterol levels were normal. That's right, you can have perfect cholesterol and still be at massive risk if inflammation is running wild in your body. So where does this inflammation come from? Chronic stress, poor diet, lack of sleep, smoking, obesity, and uncontrolled conditions like diabetes and gum disease all trigger systemic inflammation. It's like your body is stuck in a constant state of emergency, and your arteries pay the price.
I had a patient, a 70-year-old woman who prided herself on eating healthy and staying active. Her cholesterol was excellent, blood pressure was fine, but she kept complaining of fatigue and joint pain. We ran a full panel and discovered her C-reactive protein was sky high. Turns out she had severe periodontal disease that had gone untreated for years. The chronic infection in her gums was flooding her bloodstream with inflammatory markers, silently damaging her heart. We referred her to a periodontist, got the infection under control, and within 6 months, her inflammation levels dropped dramatically. She dodged a bullet she didn't even know was aimed at her. Here's how you fight inflammation. First, get your C-reactive protein tested. It's a simple blood test your doctor can order. If it's elevated, work with your healthcare team to identify the source. Second, adopt an anti-inflammatory diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids from fish, walnuts, and flax seeds, colorful vegetables, berries, and whole grains. Cut out processed foods, excess sugar, and trans fats, all of which fuel inflammation. Third, manage stress through meditation, yoga, or even just daily walks in nature. Studies show chronic stress keeps inflammation levels elevated for years. Inflammation is a hidden killer, but it's also entirely controllable. Once you address it, you've eliminated one of the most dangerous risk factors for heart disease. But even with low inflammation, there's another silent threat lurking, and that's number 5. Number 5, fix your sleep. Broken sleep is breaking your heart. I'm going to be blunt. If you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night or waking up exhausted every morning, you're accelerating your path toward a heart attack. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's when your body repairs damaged blood vessels, regulates blood pressure, and clears inflammatory proteins from your system. Rob yourself of quality sleep, and you're sabotaging your heart's ability to heal itself. The European Heart Journal published a study of over 116,000 adults and found that people who slept less than 6 hours per night had a 20% higher risk of heart attack compared to those who got 7 to 8 hours. Even more alarming, people with sleep apnea, a condition where breathing repeatedly stops during sleep, had double the risk of sudden cardiac death. Sleep apnea is especially common in seniors, and most don't even know they have it. The signs are loud snoring, waking up gasping for air, chronic fatigue despite sleeping a full night, and morning headaches. What's happening is your airway collapses repeatedly during sleep, cutting off oxygen to your brain and heart. Your body jolts awake just enough to restart breathing, spiking your blood pressure and heart rate over and over all night long. It's like running a stress test on your heart for 8 hours straight every single night. I treated a 67-year-old former truck driver who came in after his 3rd episode of chest pain.
His cholesterol was managed, his blood pressure was under control, but he was exhausted all the time. His wife mentioned he snored so loud she slept in another room. We ordered a sleep study, and sure enough, severe obstructive sleep apnea. He was stopping breathing over 40 times per hour. We got him on a CPAP machine, and within 3 months, his energy returned, his blood pressure dropped, and his chest pain disappeared. The cardiologist told him that untreated sleep apnea had been battering his heart for probably a decade. Even if you don't have sleep apnea, poor sleep habits damage your heart. Late-night screen time, irregular sleep schedules, and sleeping in overheated rooms all interfere with deep restorative sleep. Research from the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine showed that inconsistent sleep patterns, going to bed and waking up at different times each day, increased cardiovascular disease risk by 30%. Here's what you need to do. First, if you snore heavily or feel tired despite sleeping a full night, ask your doctor about a sleep study. Sleep apnea is treatable, and treatment can save your life. Second, prioritize 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night. Set a consistent bedtime. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. and put away screens at least an hour before bed. Your heart does its most critical repair work while you sleep. Don't cheat yourself. Quality sleep protects your heart, but even perfect sleep won't save you if you're ignoring the next critical factor, and that's number 4. Number 4, move your body every single day. Sitting is killing you. I'm not talking about running marathons or spending hours at the gym. I'm talking about consistent, daily movement. Because here's the hard truth. A sedentary lifestyle is one of the strongest predictors of heart disease, and most seniors are sitting themselves into an early grave without even realizing it. The American Heart Association is crystal clear. Adults who sit for more than 8 hours a day with no physical activity have a risk of dying from heart disease similar to the risk posed by smoking and obesity. Let that sink in. Sitting for prolonged periods is as dangerous as lighting up a cigarette. Why? Because when you sit for hours, your muscles aren't contracting, your metabolism slows, your blood sugar stays elevated, and fat starts accumulating in your bloodstream. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, high blood pressure, and arterial damage. Movement, on the other hand, increases circulation, lowers blood sugar, reduces inflammation, strengthens the heart muscle, and keeps arteries flexible. A massive study published in The Lancet followed over 1 million people and found that just 60 to 75 minutes of moderate physical activity per day, think brisk walking, cycling, or swimming, eliminated the increased risk of death associated with prolonged sitting. And for those who couldn't manage an hour, even 25 minutes of daily movement significantly reduced heart attack risk.
I had a 72-year-old retired teacher who spent most of her day reading, watching TV, and doing crossword puzzles. She was sharp as a tack mentally, but physically, she was declining fast. Her cholesterol was creeping up, her blood pressure was borderline, and she felt winded just walking to her mailbox. I told her point blank, "You need to move every day or you're headed for a heart attack." She started with just 10 minutes of walking around her block each morning. Within 2 months, she was up to 30 minutes. 6 months later, her cholesterol had dropped 20 points, her blood pressure was normal, and she had more energy than she'd had in years. She told me, "I didn't realize how much I was dying sitting in that chair." You don't need fancy equipment or a gym membership. Walking is one of the most powerful heart-protecting exercises there is. The key is consistency. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate activity 5 days a week. If that feels overwhelming, start with 10 minutes and build up. Take the stairs instead of the elevator, park farther away from the store entrance, stand up and stretch every hour if you're sitting for long periods. Your heart is a muscle, and like any muscle, it gets stronger with use and weaker with neglect. Daily movement is non-negotiable if you want to prevent a heart attack. But even if you're moving every day, there's one habit that can undo all your progress, and that's number 3. Number 3, Stop smoking and avoid secondhand smoke entirely. If you're still smoking after 60, you're playing Russian roulette with your heart. I don't say that to shame you. I say it because it's the truth, and I care about whether you're alive 5 years from now. Smoking is the single most preventable cause of heart disease, and it's responsible for 1 in every 4 deaths from cardiovascular disease in the United States. Here's what smoking does to your heart. Every puff floods your bloodstream with over 7,000 toxic chemicals. These chemicals damage the lining of your arteries, trigger inflammation, reduce oxygen in your blood, raise blood pressure, make your blood stickier and more prone to clotting, and accelerate plaque buildup. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire every single time you light up. The Framingham Heart Study found that smokers over 60 have twice the risk of a heart attack compared to non-smokers. Even worse, smoking dramatically reduces your chances of surviving a heart attack if one does occur. Your damaged blood vessels can't deliver the oxygen your heart desperately needs during an attack, and your blood clots faster, making blockages more severe. But here's the incredible news. It's never too late to quit. A study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology showed that people who quit smoking after age 60 still reduced their heart attack risk by 36% within just 5 years. Your body begins healing almost immediately. Within 20 minutes of your last cigarette, your heart rate and blood pressure drop. Within 24 hours, your risk of a heart attack starts to decrease. Within 1 year, your risk of coronary heart disease is half that of a smoker's. I'll never forget a patient, a 66-year-old man who had smoked 2 packs a day for 40 years. He came in after a minor heart attack, and I told him, you can either quit smoking and give yourself a fighting chance, or keep smoking, and I'll see you back here for a massive heart attack within 2 years. He quit cold turkey that day. 5 years later, he's still smoke-free, hiking with his grandkids, and his cardiologist says his arteries have shown remarkable improvement. He told me, I thought it was too late. I thought the damage was done. I'm so glad I was wrong. And don't underestimate secondhand smoke. If you live with a smoker or spend time around people who smoke, you're still at risk. The American Heart Association states that secondhand smoke increases heart disease risk by 25 to 30%. The toxic particles get into your lungs, damage your blood vessels, and trigger the same inflammatory response as if you were smoking yourself. If you smoke, commit to quitting today. Talk to your doctor about nicotine replacement therapy, prescription medications like varenicline, or support programs. If you live with a smoker, have a serious conversation about protecting your health. This is life or death. Smoking is not just a bad habit, it's a direct assault on your heart. But even if you've never smoked a day in your life, the next factor could still be silently destroying your arteries. And that's number 2. Number 2, control your stress before it controls your heart. Stress doesn't just feel bad, it kills. Chronic stress is one of the most underestimated risk factors for heart disease, and most seniors are carrying decades of accumulated stress without realizing how much damage it's doing. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones raise your heart rate, spike your blood pressure, increase inflammation, and make your blood more likely to clot. In short bursts, this response is helpful. It's your body preparing to fight or flee. But when stress becomes chronic, day after day, year after year, it's like keeping your heart in emergency mode 24/7. Eventually, something breaks. A study in The Lancet found that chronic stress increased the risk of a heart attack and stroke by 27%. The researchers used brain imaging to show that stress activates the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which then triggers bone marrow to produce extra white blood cells. These cells flood your arteries, causing inflammation and accelerating plaque formation. In other words, stress doesn't just feel bad, it physically damages your heart at the cellular level.
I treated a 69-year-old widow who came in with chest pain. Her cholesterol was fine, she didn't smoke, she walked every day, but her stress levels were through the roof. She was caring for her disabled adult son, managing financial struggles, and dealing with chronic loneliness after her husband's. Her body was trapped in a constant state of fight or flight. We worked with a therapist, got her connected to a caregiver support group, and taught her basic relaxation techniques. Within 6 months, her chest pain episodes dropped by 80%. Her cardiologist said her heart showed signs of healing simply because she learned to manage her stress. Here's what works. First, identify your stressors. Write them down. What's causing you the most anxiety? Financial worries, health concerns, family conflicts, loneliness? Once you know what's driving your stress, you can start addressing it. Second, practice daily stress reduction techniques. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, and even just 10 minutes of quiet time each morning can lower cortisol levels significantly. Research shows that mindfulness meditation reduces cardiovascular disease risk by improving blood pressure, reducing inflammation, and calming the nervous system. Third, don't isolate yourself. Loneliness is a massive stressor for seniors, and studies show that social isolation increases heart disease risk by 29%. Stay connected with friends, join community groups, volunteer, or even adopt a pet. Human connection is medicine for your heart. Fourth, consider therapy or counseling. There's no shame in talking to a professional about what's weighing on you. Your mental health and your heart health are inseparable. Chronic stress will kill you just as surely as high cholesterol or smoking. But unlike those factors, stress is invisible, and most people ignore it until it's too late. Don't be one of them. Managing stress isn't a luxury, it's a survival strategy. And now we've reached number 1, the most powerful, most scientifically proven strategy for preventing heart attacks. This is the one that ties everything together. Number 1, eat a heart-healthy diet and make it a lifestyle, not a diet. I've saved the most important for last. Your diet is either your greatest weapon against heart disease or your greatest enemy. The food you put in your body every single day is either healing your arteries or destroying them. There's no middle ground. The Mediterranean diet is the gold standard for heart health, and the evidence is overwhelming. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed over 7,000 people at high risk for heart disease. Half followed a Mediterranean diet rich in olive oil, nuts, fish, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. The other half followed a standard low-fat diet. The results were so dramatic the study was stopped early. The Mediterranean diet group had a 30% lower risk of heart attack, stroke, and cardiovascular death. 30%. That's hundreds of lives saved simply by changing what they ate. Why does this diet work? Because it's loaded with anti-inflammatory foods, healthy fats that raise good cholesterol, fiber that lowers bad cholesterol, and antioxidants that protect blood vessels from damage. Olive oil, fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, nuts, leafy greens, berries, whole grains, beans, and legumes, these foods actively fight heart disease. Contrast that with the standard American diet, loaded with processed foods, red meat, sugary snacks, trans fats, and refined carbohydrates. These foods spike blood sugar, trigger inflammation, clog arteries, and pile on dangerous visceral fat around your organs. A study in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that people who ate a diet high in processed foods had a 62% higher risk of cardiovascular death. I had a patient, a 74-year-old man who came in after a second heart attack. He was on multiple medications, but his diet was a disaster. Fast food, frozen dinners, soda, and dessert every night. I sat him down and said, "Your medications can only do so much. If you keep eating like this, you won't see 80. We worked with a dietitian to overhaul his meals. He switched to oatmeal with berries for breakfast, salads with grilled fish for lunch, and vegetable-heavy dinners with lean protein. He swapped soda for water and dessert for fruit. Within a year, he lost 30 pounds, his cholesterol dropped 40 points, his blood pressure normalized, and he felt 20 years younger. He told me, "I thought food didn't matter that much. I was so wrong." Here's your action plan. Build every meal around vegetables. Aim for half your plate to be colorful veggies. Choose whole grains over refined carbs. Swap white bread and pasta for whole wheat, quinoa, brown rice, and oats. Eat fatty fish at least twice a week. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, and tuna are loaded with heart-protecting omega-3s. Use olive oil as your primary fat. It lowers bad cholesterol and raises good cholesterol. Snack on nuts and seeds. A handful of almonds or walnuts daily reduces heart disease risk by 30%. Limit red meat to once or twice a week and avoid processed meats entirely. Bacon, sausage, and deli meats are linked to significantly higher heart attack risk. Cut out sugary drinks and processed snacks. They're pure poison for your arteries. This isn't about perfection, it's about consistency.
You don't have to eat perfectly every single day, but if 80% of your meals are heart healthy, you're winning. Make this a lifestyle, not a temporary diet, and your heart will thank you for decades.
And there you have it, 7 scientifically proven strategies to prevent a heart attack and protect your heart for years to come. Know your numbers and act on them. Fight chronic inflammation. Prioritize quality sleep. Move your body every day. Quit smoking and avoid secondhand smoke. Manage your stress. And eat a heart-healthy diet for life. These aren't complicated. They're not expensive, but they're powerful. Research shows that following just 5 of these strategies can reduce your heart attack risk by over 80%. That's not luck. That's science. I've spent 3 decades watching people suffer and die from heart attacks that didn't have to happen. Don't be one of them. You have the knowledge now. You have the power. The only question is, will you act on it? Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 strategies are you going to start today? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one and reply personally, because your health matters, and your commitment could inspire someone else to take action. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, share it with someone you love, and subscribe for more life-saving health information. Your heart is counting on you. Don't let it down.